Good afternoon. Welcome to my channel. My name is Tembi Kwala and I'm so glad to have you on this video number 2. I already did video number 1 where I did an intro about fatherless daughter or father wound into the series that I'm doing, which I aim to do I think it's 5 videos. So on video number 1, what I did was just do an intro, of what is a father wound and the impacts that it has on the children, and also how, because when we raise children, we don't raise them for ourselves. We raise them for the community where they will go out and be um, you know be adults, be men and women who will in turn have their own families. And as children, when they come into the world, they come like a blank slate, and it's what they observe, it's what they see us do as their parents that they mimic, and they go on and do that in their own lives. And as much as a mother has a huge role in a child's life, but also a father, there's something that a father does in the life of her children that no matter how good a mother is, there's something that's lacking that only a father can provide to the life of a young woman, but also to the life of a young boy. One of the things that I think I touched on yesterday was how the stats reveals that the boys who end up in prison, and the boys who end up in gangs and all those kind of things, when you trace back, there is a missing father figure or a positive father figure in the home, and and some of those things. So what I wanted to speak about today was the archetypes of the fatherless wounds. What the psyche of a woman who has the wound of a father, who has been left and abandoned by her father, and the kind of a psyche that it takes in her head. It takes different forms, and today I just want to speak about one form that it takes. So I like what it says, is it Carl Jung, who says that an archetype is to a psyche what a body is to the mind. So when we grow up and we see certain things, and we learn from from our environment, for an example, when it comes to money, how our parents, when we grow up, spoke about money, we kind of internalize that, and it becomes something that we act out when we grow up, because it just shapes our perspective about the world. It shapes our perspective about about money. And the same thing when it comes to love and relationships, which is very closely linked to money as well. One thing that we tend to do is we mimic what we see, and so much that even if we have told ourselves that we will never be, like I will never be like my father, but if that has not been articulated well, and the pain has not been dealt with, and it has not been confronted, one person who has swore and vowed never to be like their father or their mother, they'll end up being like that. Because I like how Yanda says, he says that every feeling that is buried alive does not die. So every feeling, whether it's fear or anger and all these emotions, they need to be they need to be evaluated, they need to be questioned and released and let go. There's a process into processing the emotions, the strong emotions like anger and frustration, and any other emotion that, losing a parent and wishing that a parent was there. There's certain process and steps that one needs to do. So today I wanted to talk about the archetype, the first archetype, which is the pretty woman daughter. So this says that, this kind of a woman, she crave closeness, she with other people, even sometimes if it means that she has to sacrifice herself for it. The picture that comes, that came to mind when I thought about, this type of a wound that exists in the life of a woman, is someone who cares so much about what people think about her, who, you know, there's a form of perfection that we want to portray into the world, like we have it all together. So a pretty woman daughter, she craves closeness with people, and even if it means that she has to sacrifice herself for it, it's a people pleasing mentality that that you're putting needs of other people before yours as a pretty woman daughter. So this kind of a daughter or of a woman, her wound, you know, before she deals with it, she deals with her womb, with a wound. If there's one thing that she needs to do first is to develop a deeper parts of expressing herself authentically, a position where she gets to experience and express herself, her truth, you know, whether it offends somebody, but if it's her truth and it's something that is really her, you know, she does not think about what people will think about her first, what people will say if she does things like this, but she puts her happiness first, she puts her value first, you know, she values her own oil. There's a story in the Bible where this woman, Mary, who went to Jesus and she poured this expensive oil on his feet, and he rubbed his feet, and she rubbed his feet, and she wiped her feet with you know, with her hair. There's a song by Cece Winans that says that it's an alabaster box. It says that so it start off saying that you know, how this woman made her way towards Jesus, and she just, you know, she closed her ears into what everybody was saying, and she went in there and she poured her alabaster box, and no one knows, you know, the value of that oil but her, you know, because of what Christ has done for her. So she poured her, you know, this valuable oil unto the feet of the Messiah, and she washes that. Even when, I mean, when Judas was saying that we could have sold this oil and get money, and Jesus was saying that poor people you will always have, and so let this woman do, she has chosen the best place for her to be. And so this is what, you know, every queen and every woman you know, urges for, is a place and a space that allows her to pour herself, her authentic and her real self, without worrying so much about what people think. And so we see, when we look at this woman and we study this pretty woman, that that's what she suffers from, you know. And I wouldn't be surprised if she has things like depression, because we all know that a lack of expression leads to depression, because we cannot suppress something. We can only suppress things for a certain, you know, for a short time. You know, sooner or later, you know, we're just going to burst out into different things because we have not taken the time to express ourselves. So when we study this woman, we identify that she has, you know, people pleasing personality, where she cares about what people think more than what she thinks, you know, for herself. So her greatest need is validation. She wants people to validate her, to give her permission for her to live her dream, to give her permission for her to go towards her dreams and to pursue her purpose. This is what she craves. That's her greatest need. But we see that the greatest fear that she fears most is disapproval. She cares so much about what people may think because she does not want anyone to disapprove of her actions, of her desires. And she doesn't think that what she has, like the value of her oil, or her oil is of value, you know. So when we look at that story of Mary and pouring the oil on the feet of Jesus, that's what we see about this woman. Her greatest fear is disapproval. She would rather die than to face people disapproving her. And so she holds a belief that says that I will be loved if I meet your needs. So her psyche and her way that, you know, her philosophy and her psychology is wrapped around that I need to make people happy. I will be loved. So she craves to be loved by people by sacrificing her own self, because she doesn't believe in her, you know, that what she has is of value. She doesn't believe that her offering is of value. So she's, everything that she does, you know, people pleasing and sacrificing herself is trapped in this lie that I need to make people happy so that they can love me. So her daddy won't. I just want my daddy to value me. She, you know, she grew up as a woman who needed daddy, you know. Probably, you know, she you know how a little girl, when her father comes around and she's wearing the dress and daddy just acknowledge her beauty, acknowledge that she's smart, acknowledge that that's what she you know, she craves inside of her. And all these other things, these external things that she keeps doing, they are stemming from that need that I just want my daddy to value me. So when daddy is not to value me, then I'm so scared, you know. I'm so scared. So I'd rather make these people happy because I want people to approve of me. I want people to validate me. So let me do this. Let me extend myself to this great lens so that people can validate me. So that's the Pretty Woman daughter. And you know, those are the things that we identify the father wound of this certain, you know, type of a woman. You know, that's what she you know, that's what she values, that's what her mind is, that's where her psyche is, that's how her mind has been wired through her pain, through her experience with you know, with losing her dad, and everything that she acts from that point. So thank you so much for coming through, and I hope that like I said yesterday or the day before, that I hope that these videos can get you started to evaluate portions and areas of your life where you feel that you know, maybe certain things has not been going in the way that you wanted to, so that, you know, we can start our healing, you know, as a nation. We can start our healing as women, because before we, you know, we confront our fears, our demons, we cannot move forward. And it is only when we become aware, because you know, we know that the lack of knowledge, people perish and people die. They cast off a strain. So when there is no you know, proper knowledge and understanding of why certain things happen in a certain way, it's kind of hard for anyone to move forward and do anything, because firstly, they are not aware that there's certain area of their life where they are stuck and they keep repeating the same things, acting out and not really living. And so, you know, how they need to just realize and recognize that actually there's certain things that happened in my life and they have affected my life, and this is how it plays out in my own life. This is how it plays out in, you know, in how I try to get people to like me. I am acting from a point of fear rather than a point of authenticity and realness. So I'd like to hear from you, you know, if there's anyone out there whom you know, they've heard anything like this and what they've learned through the process of finding themselves, and you know, in figuring out the effects that probably the absent or unavailable, you know, father may have caused in their life. So I'll see you on my next video when I do video number, it will be video number 3, but it will be the archetype number 2. So this one was an archetype number 1, which is the Pretty Woman daughter. And I'll see you on my next video. You take care.